For those we haven't yet encountered this morning, my name is Pippa Hudson. Great pleasure to be co-hosting with Katlego Taba to my left, and thank you for joining us. Hope you all had a chance to grab some coffee and hopefully check out the big chess game. Do we have a winner yet? Not sure if anyone's seen that, but keep an eye on that one. Before we head into the presidential plenary, I just want to give you a quick reminder about the program resources that are available to you from this event, in addition to obviously attending the sessions and the breakaways you've been to. Just a reminder that in the WebEx app you can find the speaker profiles, you can find the paper abstracts. In many cases their presentation summaries are also there, and if you want to engage with any of the speakers further on the issues they've been talking to you about, you are welcome to do so via the WebEx app. There will be an opportunity tonight, but I think by tonight everyone's going to be wanting to let their hair down, so advice is rather to do it today and use the app at your disposal. Just a reminder, there are also some pre-recorded sessions that are available, oral presentations brought to you by Outsurance. And in addition to that, a number of the breakaway sessions have also been recorded and are going to be made available on the app for those who'd like to go back and watch them as on-demand content. A couple of them are proprietary and won't be recorded, so if you want to double check on that, please just check the agenda function in the WebEx app, and that'll give the information on what will be recorded and what won't. Katlego, 75 years. It's a big milestone to celebrate. You must feel pretty proud as a member of the profession.
Yeah, Papa, it's a massive milestone. I'm just actually reflecting as you're asking me this question. I'm realizing that 75 years old means we are as old as Samuel L. Jackson. That is quite an achievement.
Not quite as cool yet, though.
We're getting there. And then this is the 50th year of the actual convention, which means, we started the convention when Dave Chappelle was born. So this is a funny profession, eh? But looking back, Papa, and how hard it would have been to get to this point, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to know that there are people who didn't believe in us, Papa.
Really?
They didn't believe in us. They didn't believe in us. But God did. And that's why we are here.
Katlego, it's great to be here to celebrate. It is a celebratory event, this. Big milestones, not only in the 75 years of the Society, but also the 50th convention. And without further ado, I think let's hand over to the Actuarial Society team, who are going to run you through the presidential plenary.
Good morning. I'm not sure what to think about this, but last night at the last session with the comedian, sorry, I forgot the name, he was saying something about there being less people in the room than with Debbie, and now there are even less people in the room. So we'll see how that goes. This is a more serious thing, so I suppose I have to take that in that way. So yes, in what are my final comments from this podium as President of the Society, I'm gratified to see the focus on debate and the sharing of different views in this convention. I'd like to thank the Convention Committee and the Practice Area Committees, as well as the presenters and authors, for delivering such a challenging and thought-provoking program. I'd like to thank all the council members that I've served with, as well as all the volunteers and as a staff who have worked hard to advance the interests of the Society through expanding the reach of our practice area committees, including the establishment of the Climate Risk Committee, the enhancement of our professional guidance, and expansion of our education offerings. This has included students from across the world writing our banking exam, and the Society of Actuaries of Ghana using ASA examinations for their technical exams. Transformation remains a key focus for the Society, where I would like to acknowledge the work done by our Transformation Committee, as well as our partners in transformation. I would like to thank ASABA, particularly the President, Nabila Kolia, for their active involvement in Council, practice area committees, and the ASA boards. I would also like to draw attention to the work of the South African Actuaries Development Program, who have over the years provided funding and support to so many of our members through their university studies. Professionalism and professional discipline has been a prominent role during my presidency and hasn't always been fun. The disciplinary committee has been busier than at any other time of our history. Many matters have been concluded quickly, while others, more complex matters, took longer. I would particularly like to pay tribute to the Actuarial Governance Board for the manner in which they have engaged with the society, challenged us, and reviewed the disciplinary process to ensure it is more effective. While I have been frustrated by the time taken for some matters to conclude and may have raised the occasional eyebrow at some of the findings, I have full confidence in the integrity of the process and the thoroughness with which matters are assessed against our code of conduct and the constitution of the country. It has been an honor serving as the president of the society. While my term as president continues until the end of the year, I look forward to ceremoniously passing the chain of office to my successor later in the ceremony. We now come to the Society Awards. I ask CEO Mike McDougall to announce the individual winners.
Thanks, Chart. Good morning, and it really is my pleasure to make the prize announcements today as we enjoy our 50th convention. And talking of the 50th convention, there's one person here who's walked the whole distance with the society and is attending his 50th convention this year. So I'd like to call on Vivian Cohen to come up and receive a presentation from the President and acknowledgement of having been here the whole way for 50 years. Vivian Cohen.
Facilitate the floor.
It seems they might be late into the session or skipping this session, but he has been here all 50 years. Yeah. So I think if we move on, sorry, I'm just looking to see if Barry Childs is here and back with the chess results. Just finished with Barry's. All right. I think we'll move on to the awards for the papers and come back to the chess, give them time to come up from downstairs and from the championship. We start with thank the research committee and particularly the adjudication panels for the papers and the oral presentations for the work they've done in adjudicating all the papers and presentations, and I now report back on their report for the convention here today. First look at to thank all the adjudicators, 23 people on top of the research committee who are involved with adjudicating the panels. Thank you all for the great work you've done in doing that and reviewing the papers and presentations and to come up with worthy winners for us today. So we first go to the best oral presentation for the Outsurance Prize for the best presentation. That goes to Twane Wessels for her oral presentation on technical experts as managers and servant leaders. So Twane Wessels, and I call on Representative Outsurance to hand her the prize. And while we wait for them to come up, so Tanya in her presentation explored how servant leadership styles can assist technical expert managers to become more effective leaders. She links the findings from the literature study to interviews she conducted with both technical experts as subordinates and technical experts as managers. She finds combining transformational and servant leadership might be best for technical experts. She also recommends that professional bodies consider making leadership a module amongst ethics in their professionalism courses. The presentation panel felt that Twane's presentation, visually and orally engaging, Twane spoke well and used good non-visual cues. The audio-visual quality and editing were good, and slides were generally good, and she appropriately employed musical transitions. The presentation panel also felt that Tswane provided concise, enjoyable summary of her research and delivered quality presentation without rushing through the context. Congratulations, Tswane. Okay, here she's in Australia, so might not be with us here today. And now we go to some winners who might be here with us today. Every year at the convention, the Society can award 3 prizes for the quality of research papers. After initial adjudication of the 12 papers presented, 4 were shortlisted to be considered more closely for the prizes. The Convention Research Prize adjudication panels considered these papers in their adjudications. Although they did not win any prizes, the following papers are commended. The first commendation for a convention paper, Evolving Social Security in South Africa, an actuarial perspective by Megan Carswell, Natalie van Zyl, Andrea Bezuidenhout, and Stephen Walker. The authors examined the South African current social security benefits against the ILO's pension model tiers. The authors consider how these benefits cover individuals under adverse circumstances. The authors considered key reforms considerations, such as the potential introduction of a basic income grant and improving retirement outcomes in detail. They highlight the need for stakeholders to plan and avoid narrow agendas. The Research Prize panel has observed that this is a very topical issue and an excellent reference of the critical issues and can form the basis for further discussions to assist decision makers in reaching consensus. The second commendation is for the paper Fairness of Annuity Pricing for Low-Income Earners in South Africa by Joanna Combrink and Dale Stone. The first-time authors investigated National Treasury's statement that the South African life annuity market does not present good value, particularly for low-income earners. They developed concepts of fairness and anti-selection and considered mortality investigations to investigate the relationship between income and mortality. They found that not allowing for income rating in the retail annuity market is an unfair pricing as a price does not reflect the expected benefit. The authors also considered the international markets and alternative methods of providing longevity protection and made general suggestions unrelated to pricing which could improve the functioning of the annuity market. The Research Prize panel noted that the paper contributed positively to a relevant issue concerning annuity pricing. The authors provide many good insights and research and made good suggestions for policymakers to consider. Given the change from voluntary participation to a world where annuitization and preservation are compulsory. I now come to the actual prizes. The Swiss Re Prize for the best paper on risk or reinsurance. The award is to a meritorious paper on reinsurance generally, or to a paper on the assessment or modeling or quantification of either life or non-life risks. This year, the Research Prize panel considered one paper meritorious regarding this definition. The Research Prize panel decided to award this prize to Ronald Richmond and Mario Whitridge for their paper entitled Smoothness and Monotonicity Constraints for Neural Networks Using IceNet. Ronald and Mario in their paper presented the IceNet approach to constrain neural network predictions to the monotonic and smooth using of individual conditional expectation models interpretability techniques. This approach will allow practitioners to adopt the use of deep neural networks similarly to what is already done through constraining parameters and generalized linear models. The authors also showed how to use local approximations of the IceNet to reduce the computational burden of the global IceNet. The research prize panel felt that Ronald and Mario proposed a novel method to counter the output from deep neural networks that may exhibit undesirable characteristics for actuarial purposes. They applied their IceNet approach to a real-world data set, providing the source code, and made their technical paper accessible to a broader audience. Congratulations, Ronald and Mario, for another outstanding paper that advances knowledge. So I call... Finally, the Research Prize panel awards the RGA Prize for the best paper by first-time authors and the RGA Prize for the best paper to Takura Wegwete for his paper entitled Application of Deeper Reinforcement Learning in Asset Liability Management. The paper is innovative in showing how approaches from the machine learning environment can be used in asset liability management, a risk management technique important for financial institutions. Many institutions rely on the human professional judgment, which can limit the performance of ALM due to restricted automation, human irrationality, and the restricted scope for multi-objective optimization. The author addressed these limitations by introducing a new approach to ALM based on deep reinforcement learning. The author finds that deep reinforcement learning can lead to more effective outcomes for ALM than based on human professional judgment alone. The Research Prize panel felt that Takura's paper was useful and a significant contribution. It proposed a novel solution and demonstrated that actuaries could incorporate new approaches to improving asset liability management in real time. Congratulations to Takura for an outstanding paper that will hopefully lead to more efficient asset liability management in financial institutions. And we move on to the debate prize. For the first time this year, we are awarding a prize for the best debate. The prize for 2023 is funded by ASA, but we hope that the enthusiasm and knowledge sharing gained during the 3 debates in the convention this year will have sponsors lining up for the privilege of sponsoring this prize next year. The prize is not focused on who won each debate, but on which debate met the criteria of clearly arguing opposing viewpoints, of contestants engaging with each other and challenging each other's arguments, and of challenging the listeners. The debates have been assessed by an adjudication panel as well as by the votes of those who attended the debates. The winning debate is that should ASA actively participate in broad public policy analysis and debate, with Simon Lowe and Lusani Malautsi, moderated by Nalen Naidu. I now return to the chess tournament and ask Barry Childs, as the representative of Insight, the sponsors, to come and make the presentation on behalf of the sponsors. We had 111 members participated in the tournament, with over 350 games played and over 6,500 minutes of total game time and many new connections made. Players had an average player rating of 1,280, with the highest rating of 2,400. Insight has promised to send out more intricate stats of the games played to participants and anyone else who'd like to see. Insight are already planning to build on this tournament and make next year's tournament bigger and better, so look out for invitations to join the 2024 tournament. In addition to the competition prize, Insight have made matching donation to Moving for Life, an NGO using chess for community social enliftment, and together with Greg Whittaker from Algorithm are sponsoring a South African entrant to the World Chess Club. Insight chess champion is Mohammed Boadin. After a break of 3 years, we are delighted to have the return to the Green Exhibitors Award. The Green Exhibitors Award was initiated in 2014 to encourage exhibitors to consider sustainability in their stand strategy and design. The winner receives a trophy as well as a complimentary exhibition stand for next year's convention. Since 2014, the competition has become increasingly competitive and the title is coveted. We'd like to take the opportunity to thank Edward Allant, Morne de Vos, Ronald Richmond, and Hilda Strauss for being part of the judgment panel, showing some value being added by our Climate Change Committee already. They observed the exhibition set up on Tuesday the 10th and visited the stands during the day on Wednesday the 11th, taking time to chat with each exhibitor about their sustainability measures. This year, we would like to commend both Old Mutual and Sanlam for their sustainable and green conscious stands, as well as the various stands that were using repurposed games like Pac-Man, Racetrack, Sudoku, Yo-Yo, and chess. We love the idea from Munich Re of using a robot. But our 2019 winner has clearly taken sustainability brief to heart. They've built on their earlier successes and have risen to new heights this year. Our winner has been consistent exhibitor at the exhibition since 2011. They are familiar faces on the exhibition floor and regularly give away some of the most coveted and useful items. Their focus this year was on locally sourced gifts, reducing their waste by focusing on reusing decor rather than buying new, and community initiatives and minimalist design. The winner in 2016, 2018, and 2029, this exhibitor shows innovative thinking and is clearly committed to sustainability. Congratulations to our 2023 Green Exhibitor, SA3. Now, call on Wilhelm and Hilda to join Chart on stage to receive the award. It appears we'll need to go to their stand in due course to give them their award. And just encourage everyone to take the opportunity to visit their stand today, as I now hand back to Chart.
Yes, you're not quite done with me yet. I just have a few more things to do. During my opening remarks, I made mention of the South African Actuaries Development Program for their contribution to transformation of the actuarial profession in South Africa. I'd like to particularly thank Nkwanda Mkhize, who has retired after serving SAADP as CEO since its inception 21 years ago. Nkwanda has been a determined and active supporter of transformation for the profession, as she has passionately looked for ways to help SAADP students to succeed and has celebrated every SAADP fellow. Thank you, Nkwanda, for your contribution to our profession. I invite Nkwanda to the stage as we pay tribute to her service to the profession. President's Award is made annually at the sole discretion of the President of the Society. While this award is not made annually, I am making it this year to a member who exudes passion and enthusiasm, a member who has been instrumental into bringing significant changes to the local and international actuarial community. This member was instrumental in building banking as an established practicing area for actuaries. He worked closely with the late Garth Griffin to establish a discipline and worked with banking experts from around the world to develop the curriculum and study material for our initial banking application subject. He is past chair of the ASA Banking Committee and was the founding chairman of the IAA's Banking Task Team, as well as the first chairperson of the IAA Banking Forum. He has worked closely with other members of the global actuarial community to produce regular IAA banking seminars. His interests are not limited to banking. He also has a deep interest in education as a member and past chair of the ASA Education Board. He also leads the tuition program for ASA's banking and investment subjects. For the past 2 years, he has worked as a consultant to the ASA Education Office to increase awareness of ASA's education in Africa and develop the relationships that had led to student members of the Actual Society of Ghana writing ASA exams. The first Ghanaian candidates sat our A211 financial mathematics exams last week. He is the lead editor and regular contributor to our online publication, SA Actuary. He is currently in his second term as a committed and active member of ASA Council. I'd like to invite Michael Chichereva to the stage to accept the President's Award from a grateful President for his excellent service to society and the broader actuarial profession. The Murray Medal is the highest award made by the Actuarial Society. It's only awarded when an individual stands out as having delivered exceptional service to the society and the broader actuarial profession. Since the first award was made in 1972, it has been awarded on 18 occasions to 19 individuals. I'm proud to announce that this is the 19th time that the medal will be awarded, and to the 20th individual. This is also the first time the award is being made to a female member of the society. I take great pride in awarding the Murray Medal to Rizan Harris. I actually have a lot to say to Rizan. So, Rizan, give you a moment. You want to come sit down quickly, then I'll read through the citation. Rizan has served the actual profession with distinction, both locally and globally. She qualified as a fellow of the Institute of Actuaries in 1996 and was one of the first actuaries to work in healthcare in South Africa. Rizan committed herself to building the healthcare actual discipline in South Africa as one of the founding members of the Healthcare Committee. This was done while simultaneously working as both consultant and an academic. When the decision was made for ASA to become an education provider, Rizan immediately involved herself, having filled a wide range of roles with distinction. These have included practicing in and chairing the tuition committee, participating and chairing the curriculum committee, being a member of and chairing the education board, being a tutor, marker, and examiner of various courses, with particular focus on healthcare subjects. In 2014, Rizan joined council as president-elect, serving as president-elect during 2014 and 2015, and president in 2016 and 2017. During her presidency, Rizan was particularly focused on education, transformation, and professionalism. On becoming president-elect, Rizan became involved in activities of the International Actuarial Association, the IAA. She became very active in the Healthcare Committee, as well as social security work and supporting the work of the Education Committee. Rizan's leadership skills were soon apparent when she was nominated to the Executive Committee of the IAA before being elected President-elect in 2021. During her year as President, Rizan needed to show strong diplomatic skills as she guided the organization's response to the war in the Ukraine, within the context of the IAA being a non-political organization. Rizan has had a strong focus on improving the global profession's relationship with supranational organization, as well as focusing on increasing diversity and inclusion in the profession and focusing on the future of it. When coronavirus emerged, Rizan became strongly involved in the work of the profession to understand, analyze, and engage on the pandemic, and has been a key member of the Society's COVID modeling team and COVID task team. This has happened while continuing to have a prominent role in the profession's work over the last decade on national health insurance schemes. Francis Bacon described everyone as as being a debtor to their profession. Rizan has taken this challenge to heart by repaying the debt many times over with interest, while simultaneously having successful consulting, academic, and corporate careers. I invite Rizan to the stage to receive a Murray Medal.
In the course of the many prizes having to move things around, I omitted the academic prizes, which are, of course, a critical part of our work in the Society as our education initiatives, where we award prizes for all the subjects that our students sit. But it's only the F2 ones that we announce here at the convention. The others will be on our website as well as in our CEO update. The prizes are for the best performance in the F2 exams in 2022. I invite the winners to come up and receive their prizes from the President. For F201 Healthcare Applications, Jacob Tiga. For F202, Ariel Smith. F203, Pabela Makupu. F204, Retirement and Related Benefits, Neil Clark. F205, Investment Applications, there was no award in this subject. And F207, Banking Applications, Shailesh Pillai.
While my term as president formally ends at the end of this year, I would like to thank those who complete their terms of council and announce the 2024 council members. First, I would like to thank Gianni Fenta and Andrew Leroux, who complete their terms as council members. Both have chaired council boards and made a significant contribution to the society. I would like to thank Babala Makupu, who completes her term as the student representative on council. Babalu has been an active and passionate member of council and has actively looked after the interests of students and technical members despite qualifying as a fellow early in her term. Sanesh Albert completes a year as co-opted member of council and has added huge value to council deliberations. Last year, Sanesh finished in a dead heat with another member of council in the election, so the council seat was determined by a flip of a coin. The other member was deemed to the elected winner, and Sanesh was co-opted onto council for a year. I now take pleasure in announcing the newly elected members of council for 2024. The following members are elected to council. Student representative. Only one candidate was nominated as student representative to council and is elected unopposed. The new student representative is Matthew Peters. 6 candidates were nominated for 2 positions as fellow members of council. I wish we had more positions because they were quite good nominations. In an election where 642 fellows and associate members voted, our newly elected council members for 2024 are Anya Keys and Louis Rousseau. Two candidates were nominated for the position of President-elect for 2024 and 2025. All fellow and associate members were eligible to vote. 692 voted. Our new President-elect for 2024 is, drumroll, Nailen Naidu. I now welcome the incoming President for 2024, Costa Economo, to receive the Presidential Medal of Office and deliver his inaugural presidential address.
Just like Devi Govinda last night, I have to apologize to the audience. This really is my height. And this medal that they've just put on me is currently touching my knees, so I'm going to have to adjust the ribbon. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, President of the IFOA, former presidents. Today, as I stand before you as the incoming President of the Actuarial Society, on this very auspicious occasion of the Actuarial Society of South Africa's landmark 75th anniversary and the Convention's 50th anniversary, I am humbled by the weight of history, the gravity of our responsibility, and the vastness of possibility before us. I am excited to give back to a profession that has given me so very much. Before I proceed with my inaugural speech, I would appreciate a moment's silence for those that our actuarial community lost during the past year, which would include giants on whose shoulders we now stand. Former presidents of the Actuarial Society, a former president of the IAA, a former chief actuary amongst the members, Arnut Abraham Brombasha, David Henderson, Amongile Bulale Luto Jojo, Peter Milburn Powell, Christelle Mouton-Hickley, John Edward Rich, Desmond Ken Smith, David Neil Wakeley. Let us spare a moment of silence in recognizing their legacy. Thank you. I would also like to congratulate Chart Esterhazy on his tenure as President of the Actuarial Society of South Africa. I've been privileged to have served on your council under your leadership, and I look forward to building on all the excellent work that you have done. Thank you, Chart, and very well done. Our 75-year trajectory has been a testament to thought leadership, innovation, resilience, foresight, and adaptability. We commenced as a small body and have grown to be an influential professional association, navigating the dramatically shifting terrains of South Africa's very fascinating history. The dark periods of apartheid, our peaceful transition into our beautiful democracy, our joys during economic booms, and our collective determination during recessions, and the recent hardships brought upon by a global pandemic and our energy crisis, to name but a few, have forged our society's character. Our thought leadership has shaped the South African and, importantly, the international actuarial landscape. Peter Doyle's AIDS model, which was presented to the ICA in the early 90s. Peter Bieber, who led the work to establish the JSE equity indices. Our efforts in leading the world in the development of critical illness policies. John van der Linde and the recently departed Peter Milburn-Powell's paper on compensation, which is seen as a landmark in that space. Elash Mistry, the world's first blind person to have qualified as an actuary, as far as I'm aware. The voluntary establishment of our independent body, our Actuarial Governance Board, with a task of oversight of our governance and ownership of our disciplinary process. Our AIDS-related work in life insurance, the shaping of our retirement fund industry, the move from defined benefit to defined contribution. The pension fund surplus legislation is legislation that you have not seen anywhere else in the world. Our efforts in promoting the banking syllabus, our banking exam is leading the charge of actuaries globally in the banking industry. As you can see, throughout these times, we have been a beacon of stability and have made invaluable contribution to South Africa's and indeed the world's financial, investment, pensions, and insurance landscape. We enjoy privilege and have a significant responsibility to those who are denied it. In South Africa, the gap between privilege and the lack thereof is bigger than anywhere else in the world. Ultimately, our society depends on us, and our focus in addressing weaknesses in education and the general transformation of our society must be foremost and steadfast. Our responsibility has never been greater, especially if we are committed in achieving long-term prosperity for us as a collective. Indeed, the sustainability of our profession, especially against the backdrop of an ever-changing and dynamic environment, completely depends on our ability to educate and to transform. As we embrace transformation, it is imperative to remember that this isn't about mere surface changes. We have made many strides, but there is much to traverse. In 1998, shortly after I qualified as an actuary, of the 408 qualified actuaries at the time, only 6% were women and only 2.2% were African, colored, or Indian. Now we have more than 1,700 fellows, of which 27% are female and some 26% are African, colored, or of Indian background. This demonstrates progress, but is it enough? The depth and breadth of genuine transformation, ensuring the inclusivity of voices, cultures, and experiences, is complex and often slower than we anticipate. But it is this very complexity that makes this journey worthwhile. We must be patient, persistent, and sincere in our endeavors, ensuring that our profession mirrors the diverse soul of our nation. Our successes need to lead and serve as a source of inspiration to all those on the path to qualifying. I took on this role because I emphatically believe that actuaries can and should do more. We need to make ourselves even more relevant. I feel that opportunities in recent years have been missed, and I want us to stand up and have our voices heard again and again. We need to be bold. We need to say more. Difficult subjects like the role of the proposed national health insurance, social security, the two-part retirement fund system, to name but a few, require considerable and respectful debate. Our stakeholders require guidance. People of South Africa require an understanding and support. And as a profession seeking to be ever relevant to South Africa's society, we need to remember that relevance is a function of appropriate representation. An organization like ours cannot be relevant unless our demographic is representative of that of our nations. Meaningful trust can only be forged if we are truly representative. My real hope is for actuaries to increase their relevance to South Africa and its beautiful people. We have a critical public interest duty. Our voice needs to be heard and our message trusted, ensuring that our reputation continues to grow. I believe that we have a responsibility to helping our nation's people achieve sustainable financial security, and in so doing, afford them the dignity which they deserve. We must recognize our role in addressing some of South Africa's most pressing challenges. We can and should contribute to the design of social welfare systems that are both sustainable and equitable. We can aid in funding, in building financial models that can promote growth whilst ensuring that the benefits of this growth reach the many, not just the few. Our duty to the public interest is of paramount importance, especially in a diverse and evolving country like our own. The actuarial profession relies heavily on the trust of the public. When actuaries prioritize the public interest, it bolsters confidence in their recommendations, analyses, and the institutions that they represent. South Africa's history and its socio-economic disparities underline the importance of professionals working towards greater societal cohesion. Actuaries have a role in ensuring financial systems are fair and equitable for all. Actuaries play a crucial role in maintaining the solvency of financial institutions. Their duty to the public interest ensures that these entities remain stable, sound, and preventing financial and economic disruption. Actuaries are trained to consider long-term impacts and a wide array of scenarios. By keeping the public interest at the forefront, they can guide decisions that are not just economically sound, but also socially beneficial. The Actuarial Society of South Africa emphasizes the importance of professional ethics. Remembering our duty to the public interest ensures that we maintain these high ethical standards, reducing conflicts of interest and upholding the integrity of our profession. Regulatory bodies often consult actuaries in drafting legislation. Actuaries, by keeping the public interest in mind, can help shape regulation that protects consumers and promotes financial inclusivity. As experts in risk management, we have an essential role in addressing long-term challenges like climate change and societal aging. Prioritizing the public interest ensures that we contribute to solutions that are sustainable for society at large. Actuaries, by committing to the public interest, leave a lasting positive impact on the profession and society. It ensures that the profession remains respected and influential in the shaping of South Africa's future. So when faced with a debate about the merits or otherwise of the NHI or the future of social security in South Africa, let us remember all of these things. By remembering our duty to the public interest, we not only uphold the dignity and integrity of our profession, but also contribute significantly to building a more inclusive, stable, and prosperous nation. The recent pandemic illuminated the significance of informed, respectful discourse. Multiple perspectives converged, sometimes harmoniously, sometimes contentiously. As actuaries, our training in analytical rigor positions us to lead debates with facts, empathy, and respect. With emerging challenges such as environmental, social, and governance issues, we must remain guardians of informed, balanced, and respectful discourse, ensuring decisions are grounded in data and human understanding. Respectful debate is crucial for productive discussion, regardless of the profession or topic. Let's ensure that our arguments are grounded on facts rather than just opinion. Let's listen. Let's show respect. Let's avoid personal attacks, as these only divert from the issue at hand and can quickly escalate emotion. Let's clarify, ask questions. Let's acknowledge differences. Everyone has unique experiences and perspective. Let's try seek common ground, finding areas of agreement that can help reduce tension and create a foundation for a more productive discussion. Let us mind cultural sensitivities. South Africa is a diverse country with a multitude of cultures and languages. Being aware of and sensitive to these differences can ensure a more inclusive and respectful debate. Let's also agree to disagree. Not all debates will end in agreement. Sometimes the best outcome is to acknowledge differences and move on. The actuary is the quintessential professional. This is our fundamental quality. At its core, professionalism embodies a combination of specialist knowledge, competence, integrity, accountability, and decorum. When we demonstrate professionalism, we not only earn the respect and trust of our peers, but also contribute to a positive environment and the credibility of our profession. It is in an ever-evolving world, maintaining a high standard of professionalism is crucial for our long-term success and growth. Our reputation rests upon the ethical backbone provided by our code of conduct and the assurance of accountability via our disciplinary process. These are not static documents, but living covenants that evolve with societal needs. Their ongoing review signal our undying commitment to the highest professional standards. They have not necessarily been perfect, but are continuously being reviewed and hopefully will help us breed the right outcomes. In fact, the AGB this week promulgated changes to the disciplinary process, and such changes are expected to be announced at the convention's last parallel session today. Our continent, Africa, brims with potential. We heard Jeremy Gardner's presentation yesterday, telling us of its promise. I found that presentation brilliant. South Africa's strategic position and our proficiency, especially in the banking, financial, and insurance sectors, provide us with an unparalleled opportunity. Strengthening collaborations, mentorship programs, and knowledge exchange platforms can make South Africa an actuarial lighthouse for the continent. We are highly regarded by the international community of actuaries, and in many areas lead. I look forward to us continuing to do so. Mutual recognition programs are in place with all major organizations, and recently a meeting took place between ourselves and the Society of Actuaries in the US, following which we submitted a proposal to them for their consideration on how best we could forge a closer working relationship. This really excites me. South Africa's banking exam is being used by the IFOA, and others are considering it too. Recently, the Actuarial Society of Ghana have started writing the assay exams, with the first students having sat the mathematics of finance paper in the current exam session. Actuaries of the past worked in markedly different landscapes. Today, we stand at the cusp of a technological revolution. As data becomes the new oil and AI and machine learning revolutionize decision-making, we must be agile. This means refining our education system, fostering research, and establishing collaborations to ensure that our profession remains at the cutting edge. The rapid advancements in technology, particularly in the realms of data analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, are reshaping our profession. We must be at the forefront of these changes, leveraging them not just for commercial gain, but also for the broader good of our society. But beyond these subjects lies our broader purpose. Our nation grapples with challenges, from economic disparities to an ever-increasing number of crises: an inequality crisis, an education crisis, an energy crisis, a water crisis, an unemployment crisis, a transport crisis. Climate change, no longer a distant threat, demands our immediate action and attention. These aren't just challenges, but opportunities for us to drive change, shape policy, and craft a brighter, sustainable future. As we integrate technology into our profession, our focus should always be dual-fold. Commercial applications, yes, but equally the broader societal good. Every algorithm we write, every model we develop should be imbued with a sense of purpose. Our commitment to diversity isn't just a commitment to numbers or optics, but to the very soul of South Africa. It's a realization that our best solutions emerge from a confluence of diverse thoughts. To the emerging actuaries, our students and our recent qualifiers, I urge you, dream, innovate, challenge the status quo. You are entering a realm with vast horizons. To our stalwarts, continue being the pillars, sharing wisdom and guiding us forward. Envision a society that's not only a global benchmark for technical acumen, but also a national emblem of positive societal impact. As we steer into the next 75 years, let's join hands, merging our strengths and dreams for a brighter, more inclusive South African tapestry. Thank you to the organizing committee and the members of the ASA office for putting together such an outstanding convention. Roxanne Tobias as the chair, Catherine Robolewski, the program lead, Chris Anastasiadis, delegate experience lead, Logan Standar, keynote speaker and program host lead, Simon Lowe, sponsorship and exhibition lead, Rayleigh Ahmed, Petra Apello, Bhavik Khanna, Zain Hell, Tokelo Kennel, Linda Kleinschalt, Sean Lawton, Elash Mystery, Zante Mostard, Kobus Swanepoel, Simba Takawira, Yashna Vermaak, and also to the members of the ASA staff involved in the organization of this excellent convention. Nomfundo Nkambule, Gail Hawker, Portia Zimmer, Arlene Jacobs, Leleto Ndaluvane, under the leadership of our ASA executive, Michelle Abrams. Please give them all a wonderful and rowdy round of applause. Thank you too to Mike McDougall and the executive personnel at the ASA office for the incredible job that they do. Michelle Abrams, Conrad Backenberg, Imran Mohammed, Lucian Field, Neil Fourie, Mary Van Pallandus, and also to Paul Lewis for the professionalism course and his efforts in helping our newly qualified actuaries step into their professional roles. I would also like to take this opportunity in thanking my family, my wife Chrissy, and my two wonderful children, Panayoti and Joanna, as well as my close friends for their support of me. To my family at Colorfield, Dr. Nick Sennett, Sean Leviton, Troy Duplessis, Tranisha Chanka, Lucia Vegas, and to the rest of the team, thank you. Thank you for supporting me and making this possible for me to provide services to this esteemed profession. I'm privileged to work with you. To my actuarial lunch club, and in particular to Gert and Greg, as well as Namir, who provided the nomination for me to be standing up here before you today. I thank you for your endorsement, and I really hope I live up to your expectations. Special thanks must also go to all of Council, including members who have served on it, who I have thoroughly enjoyed working with, and from whom I have learned so much, and also to those who are about to serve on it. Well done. Congratulations on your appointment. I look forward to working with all of you alongside the ASA office in taking our profession forward. Thank you too to Mickey Lava and the AGB for the oversight role and for the work that Arthur Else and the DC committee do. Thank you too to the volunteers and all of our stakeholders, including our partners, ASABA, the South African Actuarial Development Program, for the very significant role you play in making our profession the profession that it is. To our esteemed sponsors and exhibitors, thank you. Thank you for all your support and invaluable contributions. This amazing convention would not have been possible without your efforts and your support. In closing, to continued excellence, innovation, and impact for the Actuarial Society of South Africa. Here's to the next 75 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much to your incoming President, Costa Economou, and our best wishes to you for the year ahead and to the Council. Thank you too to outgoing President Chart Esterhazy for your leadership and for those words. And congratulations to all of the prize winners. Feeling quite proud that a couple of our speakers were on that list, and I'm not surprised to see them winning awards. The caliber of speakers has been phenomenal, Katlego.
It has been incredible, and I can concur exactly with that. I think it was Gerard Igdale who spoke to the fact that recognition is the greatest motivator, and so it's good to see these efforts being recognized by our profession, by ASA, and we continue to congratulate them. And as we transition now into the next section, Papa, we're going to be inviting Mike, we're going to be inviting Costa as well as Chart to join us on stage. We are going to transition into a town hall session, and you can provide the details of that.
Great. So how this is going to work is, for those who are here in the audience, this is your opportunity to engage with your leadership about the future of your profession in the year ahead and the leadership they are going to offer. We would really encourage robust engagement. If you would like to ask a question, please raise a hand in the audience. We have roving microphones that we'll bring to you. To those engaging with us on the app, you are also very welcome to engage via the Q&A function of the WebEx app. And then I understand several questions were received in advance as well via the convention newsletter, so we will include those if time allows as well. And please use this opportunity to ask whatever is on your mind this afternoon. It's your year ahead, so let's get some guidance on what it might look like and the big issues you would like to see tackled in that year. Right, shall we begin with anything that's come in on the app? Well, just a comment there, if I may, from Jessica responding to Costa's speech, saying it is so true, we need to be contributing more to these discussions, and echoing Costa's indication of a year of engagement, if I can put it that way. Please raise a hand if you'd like to ask a question from the floor. Have we already got one?
Right,
Let's start in the front row. Thank you.
Hi, Megan Carswell from BITS. So, to me, one of the core functions of a profession is to hold its members accountable. And hence, the disciplinary procedure is something that affects all of us and is fundamental to our profession. When we changed our CPD arrangements, there was a lot of consultation, members were given a lot of notice, and it was a consultative process. But we've now had a major change to our disciplinary process, which is retrospective, was introduced on the eve of the convention without any consultation. And I don't understand why we've had this change of process for discipline, which we didn't do for when we had other changes that affected the profession.
Thanks, Megan. Thank you, Megan. I think the disciplinary process is quite a contentious issue, potentially. But we should also remember that ASA took the decision quite a few years ago that the ownership of the disciplinary process should be divorced from the profession itself and be held in the hands of a separate governance body that are made out of experts from various fields. I think that was one of the reasons why we did that, is to make sure that it is kept out of potential conflict of interest from members of the society. So yes, the governance process, the disciplinary process is owned by the actuarial governance board for that specific reason, and the changes that they made became apparent because of weaknesses in the current disciplinary process. So this is aimed to make the process more effective and make sure that we can get these cases actually resolved quicker than they might have been in the past. So yeah, I have confidence in that this change will make the process more effective, and it won't change the integrity of the decisions made, because that is still there. It's just the process that we are changing. It is a matter of common cause that one can change the process without impacting the integrity of the process, and it can also be applied, you call it retrospectively, but it's actually in something that is in due process can be made more effective if it leads to a better outcome.
I don't think much to add other than there are certain weaknesses in the existing process that needed to be dealt with for current cases to move forward.
Okay, follow-up question. Peter Carswell, yes, related to Megan Carswell. So, I suppose I'm going to summarize my question as, where's the fire? All right, I'm over here in case you're looking for me. So my question to you is, where's the fire? You know, the changes were put through on, I think it was the 5th of October and made applicable from there. With the convention being just a week away and consultation happening this afternoon, why are we seeing changes brought through so quickly and being pushed so quickly? It feels that way. And also in the wrong order. If you're going to consult, why are you enacting new rules before you consult? Something here just doesn't make sense. Now, I attended a presentation by Nick Hudson yesterday, so maybe I'm going way too conspiracy theory, and I'm inspired by that. But there is just something here which I'm afraid doesn't smell right. And I've spoken to a number of members and everybody who's looked and gone, something just doesn't make sense. So I'm really hoping you can explain it to us. Because there are a number of us who are just confused. New rules, a week before the convention, consultation then at the convention. Just, what's going on, guys? Where is the fire?
The paper this afternoon isn't a consultation about changes in the process in itself. The AGB has full independence in determining the process. This is a paper that the chair and other members of the AGB have written this afternoon that is being discussed, and the timing against the convention is really coincidental in the process. It's not part of what's there. What we had is that a number of months ago, we found within the context of some of the process that are currently running through the society that we ran into effectively cul-de-sacs, that the process could not advance any further through that process because of restrictions on the process that say a process that was implemented in good faith, I think a number of years ago, has now been stress tested under fire, if we can put it that, into a situation found to have an inherent weakness that has put it into a cul-de-sac that you can't go forward or back to advance the case. So the AGB considered this. The independent sense said, how can we make the process in its entirety more robust, that it can deal with these sort of events? And if we look at the changes that are made are primarily procedural, that will take away some of these cul-de-sac situations that are there. So the timing against the convention is really coincidental on the whole. The AGB have considered this over a period of a number of months. It's 4 or 5 months over which they've worked through this process, and effectively through those processes, these cases that have been stored have not been able to move forward at all without these changes. So in many ways, it would have probably been preferable to have come out a bit earlier as opposed to waiting longer and delaying events and progress much longer, to also allow simple matters to be dealt with far more expeditiously as they come through, as the process as it was to now was extremely prescriptive and certain, requiring detailed investigation even on very simple matters, and so it will, we believe, allow for a much more streamlined process and will allow those cases that have been in the work for a while to move forward.
We have a question that's signed, a hand. Can you assist? There we go.
Microphone's coming.
Hi, everybody. It's Arthur Else. I'm chairman of the disciplinary committee. Just like to pick up Peter and Megan's comments. The disciplinary committee's got quite a few cases on its hands, and we've been working with the AGB in order to try and to make the disciplinary process easier to work. So over the last 6 months, I've been to the 2 AGB quarterly meetings as the chairman of the disciplinary committee, and we've asked the AGB to make our life a bit easier. And you see the changes that have gone through now, it's pretty coincidental. It happened a week before the convention. We were trying to get it through before that. Some of the main changes are, we've got a case now, a student cheating, and you see earlier this week there was a publication of a student who cheated twice, multiple times, who's been booted out the profession. So we're trying to be firm, but also be compassionate. We've got another case now of a student cheating who's admitted to cheating. But the procedure says we've got to appoint an investigator, an attorney or an advocate or an actuary to go investigate the case, which costs ESSA thousands of rand, to come back to us and say, well, I've spoken to the guy, he cheated, he admitted he cheated, etc. So one of the changes are to avoid the investigation. So in fact, Tuesday's changes have allowed us next week to meet and to consider this complaint against a student without an investigator. We can go ahead and do the report, go to the student, go to council, etc. There's some other changes too. For example, the one is the mediation. That's a major change. That was taken out about 3 or 4 years ago. We've got cases where there are actuaries against actuaries. It doesn't affect the reputation of the profession, but we need a mediation. We need a blocker. We've got a runaway train. We need a blocker to say, listen, a tribunal isn't the right forum for this. This needs to go to mediation. Now we've got that ability. So the AGB's changes have been put through, the urgent ones, the ones that have been put through Tuesday, at our behest. We've said to them, we've got these cases, we need to get the whole process moving. We've been accused of taking a year to get a complaint out. And the reason is because of these delays. So, for example, this case that went out Tuesday, the student who's been expelled, that took us 5 months. We could have done it a lot quicker had there not been a need to appoint an investigator who took a month to come back to us to tell us what we knew anyhow. So in future, it's going to go a lot quicker. So Megan and Peter, there's no conspiracy here. The AGB has simply put through the urgent ones. We said, we got this case here, they want a student. Please change the procedure to get rid of the investigator and we can go ahead. And we're going ahead with that. This afternoon, Mickey will be talking about other changes to the procedure based on what's being done in the IFOA and what's being done elsewhere, and saying this is what we'd like to do. What's your suggestion? There's certainly no there's a consultation to the effect that the AGB would like to hear your feedback, but it's their prerogative. They run a disciplinary process. So I can assure you there's no conspiracy theory. We pushed to get these through that went through on Tuesday, and the rest will be discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. We have a question in the middle. If we can get to the lady in green, a microphone right next to you.
Hi. So related to that question there, I mean, and maybe I'm misreading it, but that information that came out around the changes, one of the ones was, and I don't know anything about the disciplinary process except what's in our code of conduct, and that at best badly. But it gave the AGB, I think that's the right term, sole discretion to refer the matter to an external party. And it just sounded to me maybe like if the going gets too tough, then potentially someone at their sole discretion can decide to kind of wash their hands clean of making a hard decision. So that's my discomfort with the changes. So maybe if you can, I'm sure that's not the way it was intended or the way that it will be used. So Arthur, if maybe you can just give some comfort that that is not in fact the way that it would go.
Yes, that was my suggestion. The reason is that I'll tell you why. We've got a couple of cases where you've got an actuary accusing another actuary of impropriety. We've had a couple of cases like that. We've dismissed most of them to say that this has nothing to do with actuarial services. As one actuary had a person, I think there's a commercial transaction in the background, and so lodged a complaint against another actuary who said that they're innocent. So in the cases, and Mickey mentions it in his paper, where you've got two actuaries involved, it doesn't affect the reputation of the society as such, because these two both believe passionately, I'm right, and the other one on the other side, you're wrong and I'm right. Now, there are going to be cases like that where the disciplinary committee can't take a view. We can say to the one actuary, you've been disrespectful, and then it goes to a tribunal, but even a tribunal isn't going to make a finding because it's one actuary's view against another actuary's view. This one's accusing. And what we need is a deadlock breaker. And if it gets to a stage, for example, on one case, ESSA spent R1 million on a single complaint. That's how far we are, and the chances are it's going to be a couple of million more. We need a deadlock breaker to say, listen, this is a fight between two actuaries. One says this, the other says that. The disciplinary process at ESSA is not the right place for that. You're costing us, well, we're spending millions. The AGB's got oversight to say, listen, this case is going nowhere. It's costing a lot of money. Two sets, take your complaint to the courts. We're stopping it now. It's not the appropriate place for that particular complaint. And that's why that was put in, because we need to break at the end. Okay, is that the same question?
Yeah, sorry. So, I mean, how do I phrase this? So I think that we can all agree that it's very good for us to have debate and opposing viewpoints. But there's a way that that can be said that is either unprofessional or professional. And it feels like if someone is doing it in an unprofessional and insulting way, that should be something that we as the society actually keep our own in line and not refer it to a third party.
No, I agree.
Because it is the purpose of the society to keep the reputation of the society.
No, I agree.
And that one is just a little bit murky, because if you outsource that, then basically where is your power at all, if not to protect the profession
No,
in reputation?
Can I answer that? Now, certainly, if there's clear cases of disrespect, unprofessional conduct, we deal with it. It's when you get to these cases where it's on the border, it says, was it unprofessional? In fact, there's one case I think we're all thinking of, we had a senior advocate go into it. And even the senior advocate says, well, we think, take it further, we think that. But certainly it was a case where senior advocates said, this is unprofessional conduct, we deal with it. But it's when you get to those murky ones, where is it unprofessional conduct, is it not unprofessional conduct? The AGB's got to take a big picture, say this one is not clear, it's not going anywhere, this is not the right forum. If you want to take it further, complainants, respondent, go do it elsewhere, stop. We need that, this runaway train, we need to stop it somehow. But if there's unprofessional conduct, clear cut, we'll deal with it. But there are cases where it's not clear cut. And AGB's got to say, this has gone far enough, go sort it out somewhere else. So we're not shirking our responsibility. Clear-cut cases, like the case on Tuesday, unprofessional conduct. The guy's booted out. But where it's this murkiness, this runaway train, I suggested to the AGB, you're the ultimate body. You're keeping oversight. If you see we're getting nowhere, it's costing a fortune, it's murky, you must have our power to stop it. So that was put in at my suggestion.
Arthur, if we may, before you sit down, there is a disciplinary related question that's come in on the app. So while you've got the mic, if you don't mind. Sorry. Garrett.
We might
Garrett,
as well invite you to the stage.
if you'd like to come and rest.
I'm hogging the mic, sorry.
Okay. So Garrett, obviously hearing your reference to the cheating example, saying regarding the recent expulsion of the student for cheating, this is the worst repeated cheating I've seen in over 30 years of education. My questions are, firstly, what does it take for a student to be permanently expelled? The student was given the right to appeal for the expulsion to be expunged in 5 years. Secondly, how will such an appeal be adjudicated? And thirdly, why has that student not been named? As to published his exam passes, surely it must now announce who it is.
Right, do this. Now, this case, let me just make a few points. Disciplinary committee is aware that when there's a complaint against a person, that person is a person. That person's got feelings, that person's got family responsibilities, may have children. That person's got a career. So there's an element to a complaint that's a human element. It's not simply an inanimate object, you bash them on the head and you break it and that's it. So you've got this personal element. You've got to consider there's other responsibilities. We take that into account. Second point I'd like to make is that a finding of unprofessional conduct, as we found in this particular case, is severe. If you do work for FISCA, you will no longer get that work. You'll no longer be appointed as evaluator. You're not a fit and proper person. If you're a CFA chart holder, they ask you every year, have you had any unprofessional conduct findings against you? You've got to tell them, can affect your CFA charter, your Kaya charter holder. The third point I'd like to make is that, let me just see here, the whole reason of the disciplinary process is to protect the reputation of ASA, of actual profession. That's Megan, I'll come back to you in a sec. Okay, thank you. Is to protect the reputation of ASA, and And in this particular case, the student had cheated 1 year and he cheated again the following year despite sanctions. So he was found to be unprofessional conduct, and that student has been booted out. We're very firm when it comes to unprofessional conduct, the reputation of ASA. We are firm and will take action. That student's been booted out. And a couple of cases ago, a student was, in fact, a fellow was suspended. But we've also come to the realization that that person is a person. Every one of us in the room can make mistakes. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today I'm going to act unprofessionally, and goes off and does it. It's a slow process. Things go wrong. There's pressure, and you make a stupid mistake once. And suddenly you're found guilty of unprofessional conduct. And your wish is, I wish I hadn't done that. Let me pay the price and continue with life. In other words, pay the price and continue. That's what happened in this particular case. It's a young man who's a student. He's been found guilty of unprofessional conduct. It's going to affect his work. For a start, he's out to society. But there comes a time when one's paid the price demanded by ASA, demanded by society. And when you've paid that price and you've rehabilitated, everybody's entitled to a second chance. We're not there to give a life sentence. And that's the reason why we didn't name this particular student. If we said this student was Mr. or Miss X, unprofessional conduct, that person's name is tarnished forever. So that's the reason a name has been given. And the procedure has already got it. It's got in the procedure. It says the disciplinary committee may take into account the circumstances in this case. And this guy's really remorseful. If he could, he would undo it. But it's been done. He's booted out to society. We looked at some legal professions in America. We looked elsewhere. And it's not uncommon to say, if you've been rehabilitated, after a period, 5 years, prove it to us that you've been rehabilitated, we will expunge your record. You've paid the price, you're out of society for 5 years, you can come back and start afresh, and life continue. That's the reason we did this, to say to the student, come back in 5 years. The guy's remorseful. Had it been a guy who told us to go jump in a lake and he's going to take us to court, that would not have appeared. But this chap's right at the beginning of the career. We need to give a second chance, pay the price, come back, give a second chance, and continue with their life. And that's why we did that in this particular case.
Thank you for that. Maybe before, because we had an earlier hand,
sorry.
let's just maybe go to that question. I don't know.
Hi, yeah, for me, I actually wanted to move off the subject.
All right. Sorry, Papa, we don't always do disciplinary discussions. So I don't know if you want us to close off with that question, or do you want us to move off right now?
But I don't know, I mean, I worry I very think that discipline and all those things, professionalism, are critical issues. But I think somebody asked, where's the fire? Well, I mean, as a South African, that's a silly question.
It's everywhere.
There are lots and lots of fires. And yes, it's not the disciplinary issue. This country has got some major crises that we're going through. And so my question was, how are the leadership going to address some of these? What kind of engagement do you think you need to have with government, for example, about some of the future things that we're anticipating? And I'm worried that many of us talk about these things at Bry's and we complain and we rabbit and we whatever, but what do we actually do? And so Costa talked about actually engaging on issues, but I'm concerned also about how we plan to engage with government and those in power about addressing some of these things much earlier than we do.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Temba. I think let's transition to it, and then if there's follow-up questions.
Before Costa answers, I just want to say, Arthur, thanks for you and your committee's work. I really support you and the AGB. Thank you for your hard work that you put into making sure that the process is integrity is there, decisions are made with a clear conscience. So thank you for your work. Thank you.
Temba, thank you very much for your question, which I think is incredibly relevant. It's something that for me...
Sorry, Costa, can I just ask you to hold the mic a little closer to your mouth? Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Better.
Temba, thanks very much for your question, which I think is an incredibly good question and something that is very close to my heart. I think for me, there's no doubt that our country is on fire. There's so much going wrong at the moment. And I think that there is so much that has to be done. Certainly our council and the leadership at ASA have recognized this. We do have a public interest committee. We do have a public interest actuary who's spearheading the work that we're doing, a former president of the society. The key thing is debate. I mean, I think on an issue like, for example, the NHI, I think if you speak to anybody around the audience, there are going to be 1,000,001 views on the benefit of an NHI program as proposed or in a different construct. The starting point, I think, with all of this is debate. And I think as a profession, we need to garnish the thoughts and the views of all of our members. But included in that debate is the opportunity to engage with key stakeholders. So bring them into the discussion. We had a social security seminar a couple of weeks ago where we invited people from government, policymakers to attend. And our insights and the work that the actuaries had presented were found to be invaluable, incredibly informative to them. So the discussions are happening, perhaps not quite at the level that they should be, but they are happening. And I think there is a mutual recognition that we need to be playing a bigger role. We're great at modeling outcomes. We're great at providing inputs. We don't necessarily have to form rigid views on particular matters, but certainly understand or show them the facts and the outcomes that are possible in helping them understand or navigate through those future uncertainties. So certainly Lusani's work and the committee that he's got behind and supporting him, the work that we're doing on the research side, I think there's been an immense effort on the research side to bolster that committee and create some funding to basically get the research done. I think that work is going to be first and foremost in terms of being able to take back to government and policymakers on various matters. At various levels we are engaged. The debate on the NHI, there is an engagement. The debate on social security, there's an extensive debate, engagement. There are many other issues. We've recently established the Climate Change Committee, where members of that committee are playing a role into National Treasury and the work that they're doing on climate change. So I feel that there will be a lot more visibility of the work that we're doing and the role that we can play. And certainly government, I think, is acknowledging the significant role that actuaries could play in terms of helping them formulate policy. Mike, I don't know if there's anything else.
I think Costa's covered a lot, but just really emphasize the work that the research committee has done in the last few years. The research committee, their main work almost used to be the adjudication of papers for the convention. I think in the last few years with Yanni Venter and Sandy Govender leading it, we've commissioned a lot of research in public interest related areas. And as Lusani always says, when you go into a public interest space, you don't just go in there to shake people's hands, you're bringing some work along with you, you're bringing some thinking, and I think the work that's started there and is certainly, I think, if anything, will just keep on becoming more extensive as we commission research within the profession and elsewhere to cover areas there, and I think that's where we'll be seeing more activity there, and hopefully not always in the public eye, but more involvement where it counts to help guide policy and things of that nature from the profession.
Right, in the absence of hands from the audience, we have got another hand in the audience. While we get a microphone to the gentleman in blue and then to the lady on the left, quick one from the app and an important one, if we can just go back to the question from Shailesh Pillay. Does ASA have clear transformation targets and how well are we tracking against those?
So I'll respond to that as the former chair, with the immediate past chair of the Transformation Committee. The issue of targets is a difficult one. And I think it's a difficult one because of where we find ourselves. I think what we've seen over the last 3 years, particularly following the pandemic and the impact of lockdowns on our economy, is that the wedge between those that have access and those that do not has been heightened. Certainly what we are doing is we are tracking and monitoring performance. Clearly it's important that our profession transforms. If you look at the number of qualifiers coming through, emerging, they are significantly more representative of our demographic. Not quite at the level that they should be relative to where we want to be, but significantly more relative to where they used to be. So there is a phasing out of and dare I say it, I'm one of them myself, the old white male sort of folk that are sort of ending their sort of tenure, and the emerging younger folk who are more reflective of our demographic. The Transformation Committee, I think when I first started or got involved there, it for me was almost a feedback committee as opposed to a committee that necessarily got its hands dirty and really addressed the issues that were failing us. There's no doubt that transformation is not at the level that it should be, and certainly one of the observations or one of the findings is that our success in exams is not quite at the level that it should be, and that is a function of, you know, just the extent of privilege that is available to some relative to those that don't have access to that in the years preceding university. But even beyond that, there are other pressures, there are other issues. And there has been a subcommittee of council that has been formed, really looking to address why those shortfalls are taking place. It's a number one priority for us. Transformation and the transformation of our organization is imperative. As I mentioned before, if we want to be relevant in a society, and we aren't necessarily representative of that society's demographic, our ability to be relevant is almost impossible. So it's first and foremost in our minds, and something that we have to spend a lot of time on fixing. We are doing the work, and we are trying to understand what is going on there. And we're working with the universities, with the ATOs, in terms of trying to understand where our failures are and where our successes have been. It's important that we do look to our successes and look to those as forms of inspiration, but there's more that's needed, and certainly it's a hurdle that we are happy to take on and challenge ourselves with. It's not unlike other professional societies. In fact, relative to other professional associations, the Actuarial Society of South Africa, I think, has done quite well, but we're nowhere near the levels that we should be, and I think first and foremost, it is a key strategic imperative of ours, and has been the case for many years, but it's certainly something that has got increased and heightened focus. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Costa.
Can we come to the gentleman in blue?
Yes, so I want us to go back to the issue of cheating. I'm sorry to go back there, but I really want to ask a question here. I heard that other guy talking and saying that they don't need to specify who the person that cheated is, but I feel like now, if it stays like that, it creates an element for people to think that they can cheat and get away with it, because if they don't get named and shamed, they just get like 4 years suspension and then they come back. I think that's a problem, because if we look at I4, I think in 2018 or 2019, there was an actuary that got suspended for inappropriate language. And then the person was named that this is Mr. X, he did this and that, and then he's suspended for so many years. If I4 is able to do something like that, why can't ASA also do something like that? And the second point is, thank you. And the second point is, A311 is a very big module that challenges a lot of people. And then you find that there's someone who actually got an FA. So that person that cheated, or people that cheated, and ASA couldn't find them because they became successful in their cheating. They're taking away the space of people that really worked hard. because you find that the person couldn't pass because they missed the pass mark by just 1 mark. So my question is, when you find people cheating in those exams, do you go back and see by how much did they get the mark and how did that mark affect the average pass mark so that you can adjust it for the person that got an FA so that...
Yeah, so I think that's a good question. So I think let's take another question. We're just going to take 2, and then we can respond to those. So we had the microphone in the middle.
Can I just mention my last point?
So there's a third part to it. Okay, you go for it, yeah?
Yeah, my last point is, I once went for an A311 counseling, and this counselor told me that, I asked him, like, how do you really test the strength of the paper, whether the paper is appropriate or it's very hard or it's easy? He said they give the papers to guinea pigs. Then I asked them, like, do you invite them to an exam center where they write or something like that? They said, no, we send it to them, and then they can write the paper at home, and then if they give that paper to someone else, then they can kiss their qualification goodbye. I think it's a problem also because there are people who will find an unfair advantage because I don't need to give you the paper for you to cheat. I can call you and say, no, this is my friend. I know he's not going to tell on me. Come and see what the questions
Okay,
that will be coming in the upcoming exam that you will be writing.
We've
Or
captured the essence.
you can just...
We've captured the essence of the questions. Just in the interest of time and other questions, I'm going to allow that we address all your 3 questions now, and then we'll take the next question, just in the interest of time.
If we take your questions here, firstly,
Can we get assistance with the microphone, please?
Firstly, the case of someone cheating, I think we must accept that as the chairman alluded to it, but the disciplinary committee's in possession of information that none of the rest of us have, and they, as professionals in their own right, make a recommendation and through the process as to what is the appropriate action in this particular instance. And I think that discretion is a very important thing. We must understand none of us have the full set of information. And the bottom line is, someone cheated, they're no longer a member of the society. There's no guarantee they'll ever be allowed back into it, but after 5 years they can make representations, but that's not offering them any guarantee that they'd ever be permitted back into the society, or even that their record will ever be expunged if they haven't provided evidence to show that they have reformed themselves over that time. But every case is unique, and it's a thing that we have professionals right through the process, actuaries and lawyers, who are advising through this process as what is the appropriate action in this case. With regard to cheating, we take this exceptionally seriously, and we do go back retrospectively to look at records as we improve our technology or anything else in the case. We'll go back and look at previous exam sessions and the records from that, looking at the new technology we have, are there suspicious cases from here? And we will investigate those, and where appropriate, we'll go back and recommend the removal of a pass from a subject and appropriate disciplinary action, and that can happen, and it does happen. So if you cheated sometime in your exams and you got away with it at the time, don't sleep too easily at night, because the day could come when we come back and say, this is what happened, you will lose that pass, you need to go to your employer and say, well, oops, I'm no longer a fellow, I'm actually still a student. I need to go back, and we'll go through that. So it's something we treat exceptionally seriously. And with regard to the exam process, we've got an established examination process with a board of examiners that is tried and tested through many processes. They don't work to this is a target pass rate for a paper that we're only letting so many people pass. If they look at the paper, they make a decision on what's the standard of that paper, and that's where they set the pass mark. If someone cheated and got above the mark, that has absolutely no impact on someone who's 1 mark below the pass mark, because the pass mark stays where it is. There's just someone who cheated, and they might get away with it in the short term, and it's possible they might get away with it for a longer while if we don't pick up on them. but there's always that chance we'll be coming back, knocking on their door one day and saying you didn't pass. Even if that person wasn't in the field, the person who's 1 mark below the pass mark would still be 1 mark below the pass mark. And with regard to the paper evaluation process and testing, with the model of having examiners, scrutineers, guinea pigs, etc. involved through that process, it is a process that is widely used in professional bodies. The people participating in it are professionals, and yes, there's a level of trust in the professionalism of the people participating in that process, and the important thing is to have a functional exam system. We need to have trust between our examiners, our scrutineers, our guinea pigs, everyone else through the process, that they'll act with integrity through the process. Obviously, if anyone in that chain is shown to act unprofessionally or to give information, they'll be seen in an extremely serious light, and there'll be a full disciplinary process from that. But there is a need for trust in that, and if you ever become aware of a guinea pig or anyone else that is giving information away in any form, it's your duty to lay a disciplinary complaint against them at that time. So that's how the process worked. We do as a profession need to build things on trust, because if there isn't trust, then what is the point of the profession?
Thank you. Now to the gentleman in blue. Thanks for your patience.
Hi, John Davidge. I want to talk nothing about.
Can you just hold it a little closer to your mouth, please?
It's the first that people can't hear me. John Davidge. Costa, I hope you're really excited about the level of passion in the society, because you want our passion to be represented to South Africa. I heard Mike's comment that a lot of our public interest work happens kind of behind the scenes. And I get the feeling that a lot of that is because we want to present a single view. The Actuarial Society says X. But you can see there are many topics on which we will always have divergent views. And I'm interested to know if you're comfortable with us as a profession taking divergent views out into the public sector to say, the Actuarial Society is happy for our professionals to both represent this side of people who think a basic interest grant is freaking fantastic, and this other side who think that actually it's going to run us into penury and government can't afford it. And how do we responsibly as a profession enable our members to operate in the public eye on both sides of arguments that, as Temba has said, have real national significance?
Thank you, John. Thank you for that question. I am passionate about us being more vocal, and I am passionate about us getting involved in debate around public interest matters. I think what COVID has deprived us of, or at least the period of COVID has deprived us of, is the ability to debate. I think what we've seen at this particular year's convention, for the first time in a long time, there have been some formal debates. And I think for us as professionals, debates are important because issues are not clear. And in our society particularly, issues are less clear. We have a whole lot of complexity in our society that other countries don't have the luxury or don't have the hurdle of. So debate is absolutely first and foremost. And I think it's important that it's not just at conventions that debates happen. At seminars, at practice area committee meetings, debates are absolutely key. And I think we haven't seen enough of that in recent time. With that, and on your question as to whether or not I'd be comfortable for our society to have different views in the public domain, I'd be completely comfortable with that. I think it's important that people recognize that these are not simple issues, that they are complex problems, and complexity inevitably will mean that there will be a different range of options, a different set of perspectives, and different sort of problems or potential problems to the different potential solutions to the problem at hand. The diversity of our experiences, the diversity of our populace puts us in a very unique position to basically understand the various perspectives. I think what's important though is that when those debates take place and those opinions are being expressed, that there is a respect for the other side. And I think that's what we first and foremost need to remember. As professionals, we need to respect that every person comes from a different set of circumstances, that everybody might have a different people might have different perspectives, and to almost put yourself in that position in understanding those perspectives. So for me, it's not a problem that we come out with differing views as members of the society. But as a society, when asked for a particular view, understanding that there are multiple views within or amongst our membership, I think it's important, it's imperative of us to basically illustrate the range of different views that are possible and to put across a very balanced response. If a formal position paper might be needed, it's important that all those views are considered. I think it's important that we do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm the elephant in the room.
All right, go for it, Lisani.
Should I speak?
Yeah.
Even from when I was the president, that was the approach, that we will not go out with one singular answer. I think if there's ever a view that that's what we do, one can check in all our submissions, that's not what we do. So the approach is to look at a range of scenarios and comment about consequences, unintended, intended, whatsoever. That's how we approach it. Mike McDougall mentioned there that I say that, look, when we go to engage with stakeholders, we must prepare work, we must do research. So a lot of the input we've been giving is research-based. We have public interest seminars, and I would encourage you to join next time we have them, because then you will continue to say we're not doing anything when we are doing a lot. So that's where we debate these issues. And it's the kind of issues that Costa was talking about. And government or stakeholders appreciate that. And as we were talking about the social security, starting from last day when we had the debate at the convention, when we had the engagement with those stakeholders, continuing this year when we had the public interest seminar, again, talking about social security issues, all the way from what is relevant for low income to high income. And then recently the social security in Daba that we had, and those engagements are continuing. So engaging with in a multidisciplinary fashion with different stakeholders is exactly our competence, is exactly how we should handle it. That's how we want to do it. In terms of the submissions, like for instance, NHI, Road Accident Fund, some of this, you have very little time to consider it, but still you have to capture the debate. You have to capture the issues that different people are looking at and say, look, our competence is mainly in this area, so we're going to focus our comments on that, but we understand that other stakeholders are concerned about this. That is our modus operandi. We want to continue to act it that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. To the lady in the green floral, thank you for your patience.
Hello, Margie McKechnie from UCT. My question links to a lot of other questions that have been raised around public interest. And my question is around the scope of public interest. So for a bit of context, I'm both an actuary and a qualified high school maths teacher. And having exposure there is an increasing problem in South Africa with regard to the number of students taking maths core. And a number of them are sort of opting for maths lit. Now, you might say that's not an actuarial problem, and yet if we don't have students coming through taking maths core, it does become an actuarial problem, because we need strong mathematical ability in our pipeline for actuaries, and jointly, that also affects our transformation objectives. So what would be your view on that?
It's very much an issue that's been very important to us for at least the last 10 years, when this issue was raised at the convention in 2012, and we, subsequent to that and in fact the society had been involved in that since about the turn of the century through the Actuaries on the Move program that we used to run with Metropolitan at that stage. But through the education trust we've established, we are small in scale, but we do work with various organizations. We sell for X, Paper Video, Crystal House, and on the Cape Flats, with a focus very much on maths education. And more recently, we've been engaging with a group that's grown out of SAICA and involving former leadership of SAICA, who are addressing at a policy level that very issue that you're raising there. You know, the exact nature of how we involve with them going forward, we haven't yet determined that. We're still discussing with them, but they've got some very senior, very well-placed people in that initiative and are helping. Primarily, they're working on projects in the areas around Gauteng at this stage where they are testing things, but to try and move from maths literacy as a subject to far more mathematics. But even then, maths, as you as a university lecturer would know, that an A in maths doesn't necessarily mean someone is maths ready for university or for the profession. And that is a challenge we do in our small way with sponsoring Olympiads to try and identify the real talent with the Interprovincial Olympiad that pulls people from different schools, but there's a lot more that can be done. We're a small player, but it is certainly something that is very important to us.
Okay, thank you for that. And we have that hand. Just before we go to that hand, I'm just going to read two questions that have been put onto the app and combining those. The first one is a quick one. It's the question of how big is the emigration of actuaries a problem to our society, and what is the society doing about it? And then the second question is, given the recent changes in terms of combining pensions and health exams, is there a phasing out of the pensions actuary? And is ASA perhaps thinking about a social security actuary? And what might be the impact around practice and certificates? So it's immigration, impact on the pensions actuary, and potentially a social security actuary.
So I'll respond to the immigration question. Clearly, that is an issue not just for the actuarial profession, but for South Africa generally. On the one hand, I think it's a big feather in ASA's cap that actuaries qualified here in South Africa are so sought after, and there's no doubt that we have lost a lot of actuaries to immigration. We do keep track of those numbers. We do have a sense. The good news, though, is that it's more than offset by the number of qualifiers that are emerging out of our membership, as well as the number of actuaries that are in fact returning to South Africa. I think we've got to acknowledge and recognize that this is not a uniquely South African problem. I think if you speak to any of the associations, the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, the actuaries in Australia, in the US, they've got the same issue. The world is becoming a smaller place. People are on the move, and global opportunities are there for all. The fact that we are a globally recognized profession and that our people are in demand, I think, if anything, should reflect very positively on us. It's important that we continue to breed the number of actuaries to keep growing our profession. And I think if you look at the last number of applications that came into our membership, I think our membership is currently of the order of about 5,000 people across the board. We've had about 450 or so new applicants coming in at the last session, which I think is a very positive reflection on just the growth of our society and its attractiveness to students that are looking to find a career in actuarial science. Thank you. Mike?
A quick thing, and I suggest if Yonette Lani, who's on council and heads the curriculum committee, wants to add to it, I'll hand the mic to her afterwards. Just with regard to the combining of the pensions and the health subjects at the F1 principles level, is primarily to get a broader subject that's looking at a wider range of benefits. And it's also something that the reality is, in the nature of changes in the pension world over many years, that we have very few students who are taking the pension subjects. For the last decade, we probably averaged less than 5 students per session at either the F1 or the F2 level taking pensions as a subject. So we made a pure commercial decision. We would have closed pensions down as a subject, which obviously, as far as the profession's concerned, that's not the way that we're looking at it. At the F2 applications level, we remain 2 subjects there. The legislation issues, the practical things in the market are very different, and there's no plan to combine those subjects at that level. So we'll continue to have 1, maybe 2 candidates at the F204 subject, and that could well continue. F1 level, where it's at a principles level, then the team and the curriculum committee who spent a lengthy time looking at this can see where there's clear convergence in the subjects and the principles underlying it, and makes sense to build that together. I see Yonette nodding there. I don't know if you want to add anything in it there. No.
Thank you. We had a question on the right here. Thank you for waiting.
Yes, thank you. So last year, I got an email from ASA saying that they are not going to share the marks for students who write through IFOA. My problem with that is it puts the students who are writing through ASA, those IFOA exams, at a disadvantage. Because the students who write through IFOA, they get a further breakdown of their marks, like how did Mark 1 mark you, Mark 2 and the likes. And if you have an FA as a student, you could be, say, a pass mark of 55%, you could be on 54. So that allows you to probably appeal, especially if you get that Mark 1 gave you 56% and the other one gave you a lower percentage. So that gives you that extra information to appeal your mark that you got in your exam. So with us then deciding not to share that information with the students, it essentially puts the students who are writing through ASA at a disadvantage compared to those students who are writing through IFOA. And the problem with that as well is that ASA did not make any other plans to provide students a further breakdown of their performance like what happens with the other ASA administered exams. And this was done without any consultation with the members. It was just a decision that was sent by the education board a few days before the marks were due to be released. So why does ASA in this instance essentially operate in a way where it doesn't consult the members the benefits that are provided in that instance by those marks that they've gotten from IFOA as a breakdown, which should help them if they wanted to appeal the decision or understand which areas in the subject they went wrong.
I think it's one maybe take, I'm not quite sure the details on what you, there we do try and provide students after the exams with a breakdown as to which questions they've done well in, which ones they've done less well in, to all students on that one, but the actual details of the question, I don't have that with me right now. Maybe we take it offline outside this meeting and then I can get a clearer picture as to where you are on that.
Thank you. We're going to take one last question from the app, and unfortunately it does need to be our final question for the session due to time constraints, but it's been posed by both Bryce and Gretel, speaking to the issue of mental health problems in society broadly. Bryce saying we've seen an increase in the prevalence of mental health issues in society. Are we seeing similar concerns within the actuarial profession, and if so, what are we doing to assist our members? Gretel concurring and would like feedback on the prevalence of this problem in our industry.
This is something within the profession we have been very aware of, and members, initially it was primarily student members, but is certainly open to all members of societies. We started the APD program, which is a broad program of workshops and other interventions, normally free for people to attend, either lunchtime sessions or evening sessions, discussing a wide range of issues that fall into the broader mental health areas, where it's talking about work-life balance issues, talking about dealing with adverse results in exams, or whatever the particular issues would be, in a wide range of issues that we get back are affecting members at various stages of their careers. We've been going with this in its current form for about the last 2 years or so, and continue looking to evolve it. And I really look out for the notifications that come through primarily in the Newsbites platform of where we've got workshops going, and please be in touch with our member engagement team in the office, particularly Michelle Abrahams, where there are issues you see that are rising amongst the members, and we'll see what we as a professional body can do that's within our range to do that.
Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for the robust engagement, both from the floor and from those joining us on the app. We're going to circle back to the prize giving. Mike, I believe one of our earlier recipients who wasn't with us then is now with us, and you'd like to re-award the award for the Green Exhibitor. Over to you.
We've got two at the start. We mentioned that Vivian Cohen has been here for all 50 conventions, and we wondered if he was skipping this session when we called him up to the podium, but very glad to see he's here with us now, so I invite Vivian Cohen to come and receive the acknowledgement of the Society. And then our Green Exhibitor Award, which we announced to our platinum sponsors for the convention, which obviously had no bearing on whether they got it or not, but to SA3, who've run it now for the 4th time in the last 5 times it's been run, so congratulations to SA3. So Hendra and Wilhelm, well done.
Congratulations once again to all the prize recipients. Well done. And we would also want to thank and appreciate Mike Costa as well as Jart for being with us on the stage for this session, and we will be releasing them. As well as we hand over now, I just invite you to turn your attentions to our screens where a video will play in celebration of ASA's 75th anniversary. Enjoy it.
As we enjoy our 50th Actuarial Society Convention, I would like to pay tribute to all our volunteers and staff who have committed their passion, skills, energy and professionalism to the growth and development of ASA and the convention over the last 75 years. This great organization is built on the shoulders of everyone from our first president, David Spence Fraser, to the close to 700 volunteers and 30 staff members in our practice area committees, boards, task forces, education structures, office and convention committee today. We've grown from a gentleman's organization with fewer than 20 members and 2 areas of practice to a vibrant, transforming, globally respected professional body with over 4,000 members and 13 recognized practice areas and many more fields of work. I invite you to bring your passion, your skills, your energy and your professionalism to build and serve ASA as we continue to grow and transform. And I'll see you in 25 years when we come together for our centenary and our 75th convention.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to congratulate the Actuarial Society of South Africa as they celebrate their 75th anniversary. Over the years, the South African Maths Foundation partnered with the Actuarial Society on an extraordinary journey. Together, we've shared the joy of mathematics, nurturing young talents, and igniting a passion for numbers that will shape the future of our nation. But our partnership isn't just about numbers, it's about transformation. It's about creating a future where every individual from every background can excel in the world of mathematics. As we stand alongside former presidents of your societies and its stakeholders and transformation partners, we reflect on the road that we've traveled together. It's a journey marked by dedication, collaboration, and really an unwavering commitment to excellence. As we celebrate this momentous occasion, we celebrate the Actuarial Society's remarkable history and the passionate, highly skilled individuals that make up your society. Together, we will continue to inspire, innovate, and create a world where mathematics knows no bounds. So, on behalf of the South African Mathematics Foundation, I want to say happy anniversary. Here's to the Actuarial Society of South Africa and to the next 75 years of transforming lives through mathematics.
My name is Baldwin Malebana, the principal of Kumran Secondary School in Katlehong. We do have a partnership with WeSolve4X, and we have seen a tremendous improvement in our maths intake. The majority, or most of the learners that they took through the lessons on Saturdays, the program has been that helpful to the extent to which the maths department in the school, they have been impressed with how professional the tutors have been, the various programs that they introduced. Equally speaking, in this 75-year anniversary that which we are celebrating, you would wish that in the next 75 years there could be more sponsorship, and so that we are able to venture into actual science, because we cannot overemphasize this point that we do need maths teachers.
We solve for S. I want to become an actuary. We
The South African Actuaries Development Program, SADP, is honored to have the opportunity to congratulate the Actuarial Society of South Africa, ASA, on their 75th anniversary. A significant milestone indeed. As SADP marks 20 years of existence advocating for and working towards transformation in the actuarial space, it is our hope and indeed our desire to see a much closer working relationship with ASA to continue to address the diversity imbalance that plagues the profession. We have no doubt, given the commitment shown by ASA through many of its initiatives, that the future will see greater effort and application in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Please know that you have in SADP a partner committed to continuing to take hands with you to work towards this goal. Congratulations, ASA, on your 75th anniversary.
I served as president of ASA in 2012 and 2013. I'd like to congratulate you as the South African actuarial profession on your 75th anniversary. This is a momentous occasion that marks 3/4 of a century of volunteerism, consistent innovation, vibrancy, and consummate professionalism in ever-expanding fields of actuarial practice. Throughout these years, ASA has played a pivotal role in advancing the actuarial profession in South Africa and punched above its weight in the global arena. Your commitment to excellence in guiding financial and social institutions towards a more complete understanding and management of the risks they face has undoubtedly made those institutions more resilient and therefore more capable of securing the financial well-being of countless individuals and organizations. As you reflect on your rich history and celebrate this special milestone, may you continue to train, inspire, and challenge actuaries to live up to our reputation for professional excellence and the maintenance of the highest ethical standards in the public interest. The work that you do not only shapes the present, but also paves the way for a more secure and prosperous future for all. Halala, Actuarial Society of South Africa, halala.
The Actuarial Society of South Africa has generously contributed to our school's one-to-one security device ratio.
We are deeply grateful for your support in transforming our school into a tech-enabled institution.
Last year, your support shifted towards improving our students' university preparedness through stimulating critical and high-order thinking.
On behalf of all students at Christmas SA, we want to say thank you and wish you a joyful 75th anniversary.
Greetings to all of you. I am Micheline Dion, President of the International Actuarial Association for 2023. I can tell you it's not an easy task, especially as I'm succeeding to Roseanne Harris, whom you know very well. I understand that ASA is celebrating its 75th anniversary. Congratulations for such an achievement. Please enjoy the celebration and a great program during your convention. I cannot be there in person, but I will be with you in spirit. You are a great community of actuaries. Warm regards to you all.
Hello to esteemed members, stakeholders, and all those connected to the Actuarial Society of South Africa. As your newly elected president, it is both my honor and my pleasure to address you today as we celebrate an impressive milestone, the 75th anniversary of our revered society. My personal journey with the society has been a testament to the pivotal role it plays in shaping not just our profession, but also the broader economic landscape of our nation. I've seen firsthand the dedication, the rigorous pursuit of excellence, and the commitment to ethical practice that defines us. I'd like to take a moment to extend my deepest gratitude to our esteemed stakeholders, the universities that feed our members, the corporates and employers who provide our people with careers, and importantly, our clients, the members, policyholders, and institutions whom we serve, all of whom do an incredible job in ensuring our society functions in the successful way that it has. Our journey towards transformation and inclusivity has been commendable, yet there's always room for improvement. To our transformation partners, thank you for being our compass, ensuring that our society is reflective of the diversity and richness of our beautiful nation. Let us not just reflect on our glorious past, but also envision a future filled with innovation, collaboration, and continued excellence. Together, we can shape a brighter, more inclusive future for all. Happy 75th anniversary to the Actuarial Society of South Africa. Here's to many more years of excellence, partnership, thought leadership, relevance, and transformation.